Our last football headline covers the strange and outlandish portion of the show. I've often been told that life imitates art. This time it seems to imitate bad television. Last Sunday, ESPN aired a high school football game between IMG Academy and Bishop Sycamore. IMG, annually one of the best programs, destroyed Bishop Sycamore 58-0. As if the result of the game wasn't punishment enough for the viewer and for Bishop Sycamore, ESPN's airing of the mess drew national attention for Bishop Sycamore's program. Now, basic things like the location of the school, the age of their players, and the financial legitimacy of the program are all being called into question. Opposing schools like DeMatha have even gone so far as to cancel their impending games against Bishop Sycamore. Mike Legan, I'm going to kick it to you first here. What do you make of the madness here?
I couldn't help but laugh. I said it off the top. This is something I would see on SNL, Key and Peele. I don't know when SNL is coming back because I don't watch it anymore because it's terrible. It hasn't been good since like 5 years ago. But the point is, when it does come back, you guarantee you can take it to the bank. One of their skits is going to be like some kind of football sketch where it's like Bishop Sycamore and like whatever. They're going to make fun of it somehow. Someone will in some way at a comedy sketch. It's just absurd. Number one, I think ESPN came out and said the reason this happened is because they hire a third-party marketing company that like finds these high school teams to play. But ESPN, look, they've been on decline for a while now. Let's be honest. They're not the company they once were. But this is just this is just a joke. Like, how do you let this get to air? How do you let your broadcasters prep for this game and not realize in the lead up and prep for this game that, wait a minute, maybe this school isn't really what they said they were. That in itself is a joke. And then, there are just so many things that we can touch on here, and I'll just name a couple of them. Number one, the head coach has like an existing arrest warrant I don't know if you can call him a head coach because the school doesn't exist, but he has an existing arrest warrant after him. And then, he was fired. And also apparently if you put the address of the school in, it's actually like a sports training facility. And I think it was, I don't remember who talked to them. It was some sports outlet either. I don't know. It might've been the AP or maybe it was Sports Illustrated, somebody, but basically some news outlet went down there to the sports complex and was like, yeah, so what's the deal with this team? And they're like, oh yeah, they come around here, train once a month, but they don't go to school. There's no school here. Like, what are we talking about? But the craziest thing for me, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts too, was one player saying they had to just go to the players on the team, aside from the fact they were all not in high school, they were all way too old. They had to go to Walmart and the grocery stores and straight up shoplift food just to live, to eat, to survive. And just I don't know how this went on for so long, but it's just crazy.
No, yeah, that's exactly correct. There's so much craziness to the story. You mentioned that one right there about the player stealing that food, just to stay alive. And I think one of the craziest ones is that when people on the internet be on a dive deeper into his Bishop Sycamore story. They found two addresses listed for the school, I believe, and one of them was some library in Columbus. Another was just a residential house area. So this school seems to be almost completely made up. If it is, it's really just a crazy story. And the players on the field were not football players at all. This was a dangerous situation watching the game. IMG was up 30-0 in the second quarter of the game. This was another blowout. And I have to give it to the ESPN announcers for being able to honestly call that game while watching it and really realizing that this is just not an unfair advantage at all. And it really just it also raises question marks how do they find these teams? You said, they go out and get a third party, but there's got to be some more background checks when you set up these games and host it on ESPN before you throw it on the television for national TV. So I think that's also a big thing, that how do you get to that point where this team is on national television playing a top school in the country in football? I think that's just an absolute wild thing that it just got to this point.
It's completely ridiculous. I look at the game, 58-0 is bad. And then you take into account all the side effects from that came out. They stiffed the hotel that they were staying at in Canton at some time. The age of the players. That one, Mike, you said at the beginning of the show, it reminded you of bench warmers with the birth certificate. I'm 12 or something. It's ridiculous. You just can't help but roll your eyes at it. But at the same time, what I'm wondering is, are there more out there? I mean, they had the GoFundMe page up, and they were apparently getting some money. I mean, now they're selling merchandise. Apparently, I heard somewhere. Are there more schools that are doing this? Because my God, this is pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the GoFundMe. I think they only raised $140 of their $20,000 goal. But if you want to donate, I think they could really use the money like right now. So maybe for bail for the coach once he gets arrested. But the point is, I mean, this is the problem, and I think, and I'm sure maybe you guys have your own experience with this too. Like when I went to public high school in New Jersey, and I don't think it really matters public or private, but like you always know some people you went to high school with who like thought they were going to be really great athletes, so they like declassed and like they stayed back a year so they could build up their profile, and then they would go to like. There was a kid, for example, went to high school with who I remember, played football at like some random school before I ended up playing college football. Like it was some private academy. Maybe that wasn't real. I have no idea. The point is that like we all know these people who like, at least I do, several who like after high school, they went to some random place to play to build up their profile more before they went into college. Like it just kind of speaks to like how we as a country, like where our priorities are. And like, obviously we love sports. We love to like praise athletes, but like, for these people, I don't like for people that were on Bishop Sycamore. Here's my question. Like, what was their end goal? It's like, they're not at high school anymore. They're playing on this team of like JUCO dropouts. They're all like 20 something. Like, did they think that they would play these games? Like they obviously didn't have the talent to make it to college. Like someone was going to watch them in this 58-0 blowout and be like, you know what? Nick Saban was like, yeah, that kid, full scholarship to Alabama. I'm going to need him on my defensive line. And like, even if they were to get a college offer, once they're vetted, wouldn't they be like, dude, you're 26. Like you can't come here as a freshman. Like it's just so mind boggling to me. Like stuff like this happens and that people actually sign up for this. And it's like so weird.
No, yeah, it's absolutely crazy story. And I hope we get more on it. It feels like every day we get a new nugget of information on this crazy story. So, maybe by next Saturday, we have a whole different story we're talking about on 101.